All right, welcome. This is Sean with a look at Hexen.wad and how we can maybe manipulate some of the graphics and assets or even replace some of them for the AquaWizard video game that's in development currently. It's kind of a long term development cycle. We've released a public beta just to get the, you know, this is not a this is a very professional operation, and we hope to make a lot of money, but honestly, we're not going to make any money off of this. This is just for funsies. So today we're going to dig into how the graphics are loaded into the video game and what we can do if we want to mod those graphics. So here is the opening graphic in SLADE, the 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 video or the video game editor, I guess that I'm using. It's free. The Hexen WAD is not free, but the AquaWizard WAD is free. But anyway, so if you open up Hexen.wad, you can kind of look at the graphics in here. So here's like another opening screen. Here's a little advisory logo on here, some just various things, different like end cards. It has like the dimensions down here, the specifics for the graphics. So the basic idea behind this for modding is all these assets are already loaded into the game. They're already programmed in by default, and when you do a mod, you can replace the existing assets by just loading in a file with the custom asset into your mod WAD, and then just renaming that asset to an existing asset name. So basically, when you load the mod with the full version of the game, it'll read the mod file instead of the original base file. So that's what I did for the MIDI music and how I got the MIDI music to be really quiet in the background for some of the levels. And then I featured some of our MIDI music. For some reason, this has lyrics in it, which I don't remember doing, but I guess maybe I did at one point put some lyrics in some MIDI files, I thought that was surprising. But anyway, another thing we can do is load in completely unique assets because a .wad file is ancient. It just handles 8 character names. So that's something that's kind of interesting about it. But something else I wanted to kind of do is kind of crawl through the base files just to get a feel for what the files are, like what the graphics are. So I'll kind of do that, but just to kind of introduce like some of the other features. There is a built-in editor. It has some tools, really basic tools like a pencil and moving stuff around, and it does have like color remapping tools and that sort of thing. I'm not super familiar with all that, so one thing you could do is like kind of copy and paste like the title. So I guess I could try to do this, like copy the title file, go over here, paste it in to the mod. These can be organized a certain way, but for demonstration purposes, I'll just leave this here. And then I'm not really familiar with what all this is about, but let's say if I want to make it more blue. Can I do that? What's that do? Okay, why not? Sure. And then we could save that. Sure. Oh yeah, you're supposed to hit that save button, I guess. And then go ahead and load this up. Oh yeah, it's blue. Pretty sweet. So that's the basic idea there, and I think I can just drag and drop this. Can I? maybe, right? I don't know. Sort. Oh, wait. And then sort by number. Ah, see, it does like it puts it in the order that it's expected to be in, I guess. So, yeah, that's the basic idea. Let's dig through some of these files. Yeah, that's probably the fastest way to do it. Just open up the Hexen WAD, copy the file over, do your mod here, or even the other way to do it is to import a file and then just rename it the thing that you want to replace. So, but yeah, let's like dig through some of these files here. So there's the startup thing. If I wanted to change that, I could have title thing that we just messed with, credit, or how to play the game, credits, or in here somewhere. So that's kind of fun. Dun, 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 dun. These are when you beat the game. These are the different assets that are shown. We'll skip the maps because we're not talking about map creation or editing right now. There are messages, like text message, that gets like typed up on the screen. So that's how we can like maybe create our own lore. They really only pop up at like the end of the game. You can like program into levels to have I can't look at the script because they don't save the script in the base language. So it's a little at least I don't know how to do it. Can I uncompile it? I'm not sure if that's a thing. Usually compiling goes in one direction. You can decompile stuff, but anyway, I don't have that. You can write a script that has messages that pop up in the game. So that's something if you have the patience to learn, we can script all kinds of stuff. Another easier thing is these things that are already programmed in to pop up at the end of the game or at certain parts in the game. We could just change those. So I'm not sure what this is. Probably like assigning names to textures and stuff like that. So I think that's probably if in animations they kind of are programmed in here in certain ways. Sound info is assigned a certain way according to this code. So yeah, don't need to worry about that right now, but I'm just kind of pointing out like this is where it is. So then here's some other stuff. Let me zoom in all the way on these because these are pretty small. But yeah, like interface elements, numbers, classic numbers. Here's all the frames for a pseudo 3D objects. These are little pickups that you get throughout the game that are power-ups. Oh, here's the like HUD interface that could be edited, customized if we really want to. There's a lot of interface elements, like different weapons that get acquired and, the different chunks that what they look like and all that stuff. Keys, what different keys look like, what different power-ups look like when they're in your inventory. Or these are pickups, I guess. Text, decoration, different, billboard things that, the ethereal travel happens between different levels and stuff like that. The Hexen logo. Here's a cool 3D skull. That might be neat to go through and kind of like just recolor a lot of these. Paused. Oh yeah, I thought this was funny. The stat bars here are static, like they have been statically. The image has been decorated that way. So when you pick, there's 3 different characters to choose from in Hexen, and so like the wizard has the most magic, the cleric is the most in the middle, and then the fighter has the most strength and stuff, is the toughest guy. So I thought that was interesting that they weren't just like programmed, they were just hard part of the image. And then, yeah, we start having like fonts. In the Hexen WAD, they have these markers in here to kind of give you an idea of like where stuff is. So here's all the fonts go on for a while, so I'm not going to like look through all that. Here's some other, some like interface. Oh, these are basically your different weapons. There's the fighter punching somebody, the fighter axing something, power, glow around it, and all the different animation frames. It's not a lot of animation frames, to be honest, for like modern stuff, Explosions, a lot of animation frames in the explosions, which is fun, I guess. Sword stuff, battle axe stuff. This guy, it blinks, I guess. Magic stuff. I like the creativity of the Hexen weapons. There's not a lot of them, it seems like, but they're spread out across the different players, or the characters. Here's some animation of like this. I think this is actually part of like a weapon where this like guy crawls out, like he gets summoned and he like attacks people and stuff like that. I think. I'm not totally sure about that. Yeah, some more wizard stuff. It's pretty cool. It's, explosions, more explosions. I don't know what the heck this is. I think you can turn into a pig in this game, and this is your snout when that happens. Okay, and then we have different characters here. So here's like the warrior player and all the different animations. Obviously, it needs to have the decapitated head rolling around with blood spurting out. That's pretty gruesome. Something that's fun is that there is a frame, just one frame of the character completely frozen, which is a nice touch. There's also all of the characters exploding and then burning alive and dying and then burning up, which is pretty hardcore. Wizard guy getting killed, exploded, frozen. I think that's the cleric in full armor. There is this, I should have implemented this, but there's this water monster that only works in the water because it has to go in and out of the water. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. I should try to use it. I did not use this character because they're kind of annoying to fight. Their shield falling around. It's a pretty cool character. Monster or whatever you want to call them. Brown version of the monster. More monster stuff. I think these are more like the advanced monsters. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just because you get the idea with these. Lots of animation frames for each one. Not an overwhelming amount, but a good amount. Like this would definitely be... It definitely takes time to do all of these. And there are existing, basically free for use, or at least non-commercial use, texture packs out there. Here's the pig. You can turn other stuff into pigs, and I think you can get turned into a pig, which is kind of cute and silly, and very kind of 90s video gamey. Like, haha, you got turned into a pig. You suck. It's the 90s. It's the 90s. Here's the outdoor textures that I featured. I think I used that mushroom for activating the thing. I can zoom in. Why not? So still got quite a bit of files to go through here. So I'm just kind of starts getting into more like element, just different graphical elements of like stuff that you find, obviously. Decorations. Stuff that's in your menu, like your inventory, all these items. There has to be like out in the world animation frames, and then there's probably like in your inventory versions of the same thing. And then here's all of the textures of like, the walls and ceilings and everything. Probably the thing that'll like be the most bang for your buck in terms of like which graphics should we mess with. It's probably the textures, because that like you're gonna only use like maybe like a dozen textures in a given map, so you can get a lot of like mileage out of just modifying a particular texture. So let me try to spot one that I use a lot. I don't use these. This one I use a lot. So let me just copy this, or just hit key command, paste it over here, maybe. Paste. There it is. I can't just drag it down there. That's all right. And then, yeah, let's, whoa. Oh, yeah, this is pretty cool. What if I just tint it a little bit? Oh, yeah. That's very AquaWizard-y. I mean, you could go crazy with it, I guess. How much should I do? I don't know. See, this is why I don't do graphic design, because I'm just like, it's pretty. I don't ever really decide. How about I do like a little bit too much? How about that? Let's do that. Okay, save. And then I'll save it into the active beta WAD. Let's give this a test here. All right, new game. Let's just, who cares? Doesn't matter. Oh yeah, look at this. It is much more AquaWizard-y. The black holes are supposed to be transparency, and I was really just goofing around, and then I realized like the other side of this wall is the infinite void. So didn't really make a whole lot of sense to use it there, but that's okay. But I hope this has been a good like introduction into how to modify elements in the game. Let me get on out of here. Let me do a sort here, and then sort by number. Ascending. There we go. Now, got this stuff down here, and it's awkwardly blue. And if we don't want this stuff, it's as easy as just deleting it from the file, and it'll go back to the normal Hexen. So that's the nice thing about the mods, is they just kind of sit on top of the existing guy. So, but yeah, just to get a flavor for the rest of like the texture mods, you can see just how much stuff is in here. It is quite a bit, but it's not that much stuff. Like, I didn't go crazy with using lots of these. I really have only used like, here's the frozen thing. So that one's an easy one that I could probably just go ahead and put in here. It's a good bet that I'll need to modify this to match. Here, I'll just do the same tint thing. It kind of looks the same, but there we go. I can just kind of get it right in a sweet spot somewhere where it looks weird and cool. That's pretty dark. What if I did, I don't know, that or that? This? That? This? Should I do this? Just like go weird with it. Save. And then we're going to save this, because why not? So you get the idea. So going through, doing the thing. I skipped a bunch of stuff, but you can see the 2 frames of animation, or maybe 3, 4 frames of animation for the switches. So those are pretty easy to modify. You know, boxes, water, sewage pipes. They got this cool stained glass stuff. Probably be a lot of work to get like a different thing in the stained glass, but I mean, that could be a thing. Like that could be, you know, an AquaWizard. It's currently a red wizard, but we could aqua the stuff. Why not? They have a whole functioning clock in here, which I thought is a little extra. I don't think I'm going to mess with trying to animate that. That's too much work. A lot of the stuff that just is already in the game, that's already animated, you don't really have to do any animation programming. You just have to replace the graphics of it. And it just kind of does it by itself. Here's a bunch of like sound stuff. Yeah, programming things. So I think that's pretty much going to wrap up taking a look at what's going on here. The rest of this is just music and sound, which I feel like I've got a good grasp over that sort of thing. If you know what this stuff is, maybe this will be a fast way to change everything in the game. I don't know. Color map, if I want to try to mess around copying that over into the WAD and then shifting all of the hues to make everything look, you know, less. I think in the 90s they were trying to figure out what, like, the limited resources they had, how realistic can you make things? Or, you know, I don't really know. They didn't have a whole lot of resources to do that, so like they try to do, I don't know, stuff like this to add texture and things. I don't know. I'm starting to get into stuff where I have no idea why you need all this stuff. It's a translation table for something. Probably shaders. Anyway, that is all I have to say. Let's, to round things out, let's just see how that frozen part of the level looks like now. See how all the frozen bits are. So we got the nice blue Hexen logo as intended. And we got the blue there, and I'm going to get to that frozen part of the world. I'm starting to regret the slow door choice. Maybe I need to speed this up a little bit. You know, this already gives it some charm, some character. I don't see why not. I just gotta get over here and get this key. Let's go by this guy. Let's go over here, and let's go check out this part of the level. Oh my god, it's so blue. Very silly. I like it. Really brightens up the room. Alright, well, I think that's gonna wrap things up over here. Hope you have a good day, and hope this has been a fun, good time. I think I'll have the credits fade out, or whatever. Let's see. Oh yeah, somebody was requesting if there was a way to have no HUD, and that's kind of built into the game. Also, by the way, I'm running at like 720 resolution. And that the you know, yeah, the audio is like built basic MIDI. The audio files I have running in there are indeed like 8-bit, you know, low quality. So, yeah, I forget why I was mentioning that, but I think just kind of like thinking ahead to how would you what's the ideal way to capture this? What aesthetically looks nice? If we had like a nice machine, we could obviously do as high a resolution as we wanted, but if you're going for that classic crunchy look, yeah, there's just so much stuff. There's even other emulators that are even better, like giving you that classic, you're playing on an old CRT 90s computer look. But anyway, yep. Have a good day.